Government shutdown. I have a bunch of family members that have been affected tremendously, not being able to afford daycare for their kids, still having to go to work, still trying to find a way to put food on the table.
So he's calling it the Schumer shutdown, but I'm calling it the Epstein recess.
Damn! It appears that Republicans aren't just battling the opposition and the will of the American people at this point, they're battling each other. And that internal fight may matter more than the external one.
Practically, I yelled at Mike Johnson last week on our GOP conference call. By the way, I'm missing the call today. It's going on right now. And I hope that Mike Johnson is finally giving a single health care policy because the country deserves it and it shouldn't be a secret. And I shouldn't have to go into a skiff to go find our Republican health insurance plan.
Maybe
Honestly,
there is no plan.
You know what? You want to know something? That, I believe, is the truth. There's a lot of ideas, there's a lot of bills, but there's no consensus. And I think that's a failure. I do.
I mean, we'll get to Marge on The View in a minute, but can we circle back first to this interview Representative Thomas Massie of Kentucky, a longtime conservative Republican, gave recently on what he had described as, quote, the Epstein recess. Thomas Massie has sharply criticized his own party's leadership, calling the continuing delay to release the Epstein-related documents a major transparency failure when it comes to his own party, saying, quote, we know from the victims' lawyers that at least 20 men are implicated in the files the FBI possesses. Speaker Johnson is avoiding a vote on releasing Epstein files by keeping the House in recess. Yeah, in other words, the guy's just accusing his own party of stalling, hiding, and covering up for pedophiles inside the shutdown and behind closed doors.
Not only are we shut down, we're in recess, and that's unconventional, unprecedented in the 13 years I've been in Congress. The other thing that Speaker Johnson established a precedent on himself. Until Speaker Johnson had been Speaker, I never had observed this, but he swore into members during a pro forma session. They happened to be Republicans. And now has no real good reason for why he's not swearing in the Democrat during a pro forma session. Okay, to the Epstein thing. One of my favorite memes on the internet, well, before I get there, let me set it up. The president himself has called the Epstein files a hoax. And we know it's not a hoax. My press conference with Ro Khanna involved almost a dozen survivors of Epstein's sex trafficking ring. And they were there to tell us there are other men who they were trafficked to. And they've together collectively, they know what some of those names are. In fact, through their lawyer has informed me there are at least 20 names, and he described their professions, which I said to the FBI director, Kash Patel, when he was there. But getting back to one of my favorite memes on the internet was, it's too bad Epstein killed himself before he realized this was a hoax.
Yeah.
Like, if it's a hoax, why are they resisting releasing the files?
Division between Republican lawmakers over the Jeffrey Epstein files continues to intensify. Signs of pressure to respond to calls for transparency appeared last week. Kentucky Republican Representative Thomas Massie said he stands with Democratic Representative Ro Khanna's calls to subpoena Jeffrey Epstein's estate for documents related to his case. Massie and Khanna's joint legislation would force a House vote on the release of the Epstein files in the Justice Department's possession. However, Speaker Mike Johnson sent the House out for August recess a day early. And today, Massie criticized the move, saying it was to avoid having to hold votes on releasing files related to Epstein. Massie and Khanna are seeking a discharge petition, which with 218 votes from House members would bypass Johnson. Johnson has been saying he is calling for transparency, but Massie predicts the pressure to hold a vote would only increase during the break.
They're hiding behind that we're trying to get justice for the victims and transparency for America. And so, we've redacted things before. We don't want to hurt the victims. We're doing this for the victims. I think it's just something that they're hiding behind.
Massie said Republicans would lose their slim majority in the midterm elections next year if they did not take a vote on releasing the files.
And that criticism isn't just coming from the libertarian corners. It's coming from people that we all thought was the furthest of far right. Marjorie Taylor Greene, as she echoed this same frustration most recently on The View of all places, telling them that she's, quote, really tired of the pissing contest in Washington between the men. Further stating people are terrified and Congress isn't doing anything about it.
I have no problem pointing fingers at everyone. We're not working right now. And I put that criticism directly on the Speaker of the House. We should be at work. All the people sitting in this audience, they go to work every day. Ladies, you go to work every day. The people on your set, and it is an embarrassment to me that we're not in session.
Greene didn't mince her words when she placed blame either, but also I have to know, and with AOC, there's a cunning nature about the way that Marjorie Taylor Greene's going about her business these days. I think that she sees the writings on the wall in the future and needs a Bill Barr book deal or a Scott Jennings spot on CNN.
Here's some tea for you. MTG, people are like, oh my God, she's saying all of these things. Like, what's gotten into her lately? Oh, like she's bucking against Trump. She's bucking against the administration. Marjorie Taylor Greene wanted to run for Senate in Georgia. She wanted to run for Senate earlier this year in the state of Georgia. She wanted to be the Republican nominee for Senate. So she was gearing up for that statewide race, and Trump told her no. Trump said no. And the White House and Trump land shut down Marjorie Taylor Greene's personal ambitions to run for Senate. And she has been on a revenge tour ever since.
But to get back to it, why does all this matter, right? Well, it matters a lot to voters who see nothing but a fragmented party in complete turmoil. It's why Democrats showed up en masse to the election booths in what turned out to be a referendum on the MAGA contingent.
We're not going to give in to our darker impulses. Here in New Jersey, we know that this nation has not ever been, nor will it ever be, ruled by kings. We take oaths to a constitution, not a king. We've chosen liberty, the very foundation of democracy, and we've chosen prosperity necessary to create opportunity for all. So New Jersey, to quote the boss, the future is now. Roll up your sleeves, let your passion flow. The country we carry in our hearts is waiting. Thank you, New Jersey.
Look, this playbook is not going to work right now. Across the country right now, people are facing economic hardship, right? That's what they voted on last year, and that's what they're voting on again. Donald Trump promised them on day one he was going to lower their cost. He was going to actually improve people's lives. He was going to make it more affordable. He's done nothing but help his rich billionaire friends at the expense of hardworking Americans. And clearly, I've been on the ground in Virginia and New Jersey over the last week, as well in Pennsylvania and California. Democrats are enthused. You saw that in your poll earlier today. 67% of Democrats are enthused about voting this election, and in the 26 midterms, only 46% of Republicans are. We're already seeing that at the polls right now, with Democrats having huge advantages with the early vote coming into Election Day today. I'm very confident that we're going to win, but we're not complacent, meaning we still have 7 or so hours left to actually get out the vote, and we're going to continue to do that throughout the day.
I mean, they're so disjointed, it's, well, not shocking at all, to be honest. But when members of your own side accuse you of covering up for a pedophile, the optics are bound to shift nationally. And fellow Republicans aren't just whispering dissent either. They're taking to every show that will have them on. They're co-sponsoring bipartisan bills to side with Democrats, forcing a floor vote, meaning that Republican leadership's facing rebellion from within, across party lines, and as the recent election results show, the American people.
Love this video? Support independent media and unlock exclusive content, ad-free videos, and custom emojis by becoming a paid member of our YouTube channel today. You can also gift memberships to others. Let's keep growing together.